Teacher story number one. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric, and on this channel, we talk about teaching. One of the series I would like to create in the future is all about teacher stories so that we can learn from other teachers, from their experiences, the things that happen to them, and maybe also where they share their ideas and feelings of events that happen in the classroom. If you have a good teacher story that you would like to share with other teachers out there and send to me so that I can comment on it, please send me an email with your story. Make it a long story, though. We don't want a short story. We want to get all the details and understand what happened in your life as a teacher, and send it to my email address that I will put in the description below. Today is the first story I would like to tell, though, and it's going to be a personal story of me, not as a teacher, but as a student and my experience with a teacher. These days, teachers are going through a lot. I know that teachers have a lot of anxiety and stress, and they've got so many things that they have to deal with in their lives. But we also have to think of our students too. And so the reason that I'm going to share the story of my life is so that you get an understanding of what your students go through, because this is something that happened to me, and I would like to share it almost as a way for me to also reflect and find some closure on something that happened to me and my experience with a teacher. Okay, so buckle your seats, just sit down. I hope you enjoy the story, or you learn something from it, or you get to know me a little bit. Let's start off. This story is about me and when I was in high school. I'm from South Africa, and in South Africa, we start primary school when we are 6 years old until we're 13. And then from 14 to 18, so for 5 years, you are in high school. I went to primary school, and I really enjoyed playing sports. I was a good student, I guess, a B student, not great, but not bad. And I worked hard. I did many things at school, even from primary school. In South Africa, we play cricket and we play rugby. I also play chess. And then when I went to a high school in the small town I'm from, it's called Potchefstroom. It's a small town in South Africa. There are many great high schools, and my high school was also good, but it wasn't as demanding. I think just a little bit more than 1,000 students. It is very multicultural, and it's also multilingual. We spoke Afrikaans and English at school. It's a dual medium school, so it was very interesting, all the students that were there. But there wasn't a lot of pressure. I think, most students knew each other, and it was the type of school where you could just go and do all the things you wanted to do. And for myself, I was from the very start, I was very active at school. The school's name is Ferdinand Posma, and I started there with my older brother. He eventually moved back to another high school, but I was there, and I did a lot of things. I played rugby, I played chess, I played cricket, I was part of the CRT. What is it? The student union, and I did a class captain, and all these things that I did. I did drama. There were so many things that I did at school that I really enjoyed. I did all these things at school. I stayed very busy. I was also a good student. At some points, I cracked the top 10 academically. I was very happy about that. With rugby, I played rugby every year. The chess team actually won the provincial title. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed those days training and playing against other schools. The reason I give you this background on what I did at school is so that you get an idea of all the things that school meant to me. As students, we go to school, and you've got your academic work, but also did athletics. I did shot put, and I ran track. I did all these things, and the reason I bring this up is so that you understand where I come from. You've got your social circles. You have to deal with your body, your hormones. I had really bad skin growing up too. It's still not great, although I think it's I'm doing a bit better now in my 30s. But yeah, all these insecurities that we have as kids. And I was at that school, but I was happy, even though there were things that happened. I knew that at the school, I put in so many hours being at the school. I was part of the student council where I actually got vice president. It was really fun. And at school, I was a bit of a clown, but I think I got along with everyone. Now, my problem with this teacher, I know we're a couple of minutes in, and I'm only getting to the story now. But we got a new principal. Um, uh, uh, I think it was my final year, so I was 16 or 17. He started as the vice principal then, and a big jolly guy, big black beard, and he was always smiling or telling jokes or and things like that. And I thought, okay, well, he seems like a nice guy. I never really had big issues with teachers. I actually got along with all the teachers. I was never really bad. I think I was a good student, except there's a science teacher but that's a story for another day. But this principal, eventually he became principal. We got along. Like I said, I was vice president of the student council, and I was involved with so many school activities. I gave so much to the school. But it was my senior year, and we were going to play rugby, our first game of the season. And I was so ready for it. We played another school, and we really wanted to start well. And I remember that game today. I just played my heart out. I was everywhere. I worked so hard. Rugby is a very physical game. I played eighth man, and I was just doing everything. I was very aggressive. I was putting in tackles. I was doing as much as I could. I think it was probably one of my best games, and I put in the most that I've ever put in. And we were ahead. I think we were ahead 10-7 or 10. Wait, we were ahead 10-5 going into the closing stages of the game. And at the depth of the game, right before the final whistle, they come back and they score a try, and we lose 10-12. And I was gutted. Here I am. I'm soaked. I'm tired. I've just played the game of my life. I remember we were supposed to beat this game. We were supposed to beat the other team. They weren't that good. I could feel it. I could feel. Listen, guys, we just have to play. We should have won this game easily, but we didn't. And I was so disappointed in that moment. All those the emotions running through you. And I remember I'm sitting there, all the players heads down, and up comes our principal. He's like, "Oh, hi guys, good job." I'm 17 years old. I'm angry at myself. I'm angry at my teammates, and I just look up at him, I stare him directly in the eyes. I remember I was hunched forward, and I looked up, and I said, "No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't." A couple of words that had a big impact on the rest of my year. I remember him looking at me, but I didn't care. I was emotional. I just played a really tough game. Yeah. Anyway, so after the game, my coach told me, "Eric, you did a really good job. He was really proud of us." And I was, you're in that fighting mode. You're just emotional, and I was disappointed. I didn't want to talk to my teammates. I was a bit very disappointed. But anyway, that was on the weekend. That was a Saturday. The next Monday, go back to school. You just dressed up, and in our school, every Monday we had assembly in a hall outside of the main hall. Everyone would line up, and some teachers would go and speak, and they'd make announcements for the week. And I remember, so because I was part of the student council, we patrol, or we stand on the outside and make sure that the students, that the students pay attention, and don't get too rowdy. So I was standing there with my mates, and it's just a Monday. I'm just thinking about what's going to happen that week, all the training we had to do. You spend hours and hours and hours training and doing all these things. Like I said, I did rugby, maybe 5 hours a day, maybe 6 hours a week. You do that. I did athletics. I played chess for the team too, and that took countless hours. I did drama. I still had my academics. But anyway, so we're at the quad at the square for assembly. Everybody's there, and our coach goes up and he starts telling a story. He says he talks. He said he wants to talk about a really great student. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he starts saying all these things about a student who does really well at school and does all these things. And I'm like, okay, well, wait on. Who is this person? What's going on here? I didn't really pay attention. I was, like I said, I was a bit of a joker. I wasn't really paying too much attention. And then he says, oh, and that's at the end of his speech. He says, and that student is Eric. And I'm like, wait, my friends look at me, Eric, what did you do? What is this now? And I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting. Well, it's weird that he brings it up, but thanks. Maybe he was impressed with the way that I played the game, even though we lost. But then at the end of the announcements, somebody says, Eric, can you come forward and just after when everybody leaves, just go and see the principal. So the principal was standing in front. All the students were getting ready to leave, and I went to the front to see him. And while everybody was leaving, he waits for me, stares me in the eyes. Big guy, bushy beard. I'm a skinny teen. Well, I was actually quite ripped, but still skinny. Skinny like very ripped but skinny. Anyway. I worked out very hard at that time, and also, had the metabolism. Anyway, he looks me square in the eyes and he says, "You will never say that to me again. You will never say that to me again." And I suddenly I realized, I thought, okay, well, he's upset because I said something. I talked back to him in front of the other students. That must have hurt his pride. And he's the principal. I shouldn't say something like that. I understood that, and immediately I was apologetic. I said, "Sir, I'm so sorry. I was just mad. It was in the moment. I was apologizing to him. Honestly, I was there. I was apologizing." And he turns around and he walks away. And I think, well, what's going on here now? I thought he turns around. He doesn't even listen to the rest of my apology. And I was very sincere. I remember this. I was apologetic. I'm just a kid standing there. I'm like, I realized I did something wrong. I had time to think about it. Of course, it was a bad thing. And I had a chance to apologize, and I did, which I was taught to do as well, when you do things wrong. And he turns around and he walks away. And I thought, well, that's weird. That's very childish. I lost a little bit of respect for him. I was like, well, he just walked away. That's very childish of him. But I didn't think anything of it. I had so much going on my plate. You've got homework, you got to get to class, and you've got all these other responsibilities and things that you have to do at school. You don't have time to think of anything. But I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll apologize another time again. But I thought it was so childish. This grown man. I said 4 words to him that he obviously the whole weekend he must have been fuming about it, and then in the teachers meeting he must have gone off about it or spoken to my coach, and my coach felt like, oh well, something bad's going to happen to me. He just wanted to bring it up, and he probably understood. Our coach was an ex-rugby player, so maybe he understood where I was coming from. But anyway, life went on. Nothing happened. For the rest of the year, we played rugby. Things went on. I was very busy. I did all these extra things, and you're also preparing for your finals, so like your SATs. So we've got our final matric exams. So I was doing all these, and then you've also got the social aspects. You're in your senior year. You want to have fun, and you think about girls, and you think of work, and you think of sports, and all these things are going on. So, but the rest of the year, I just kind of avoided the principal. I didn't really talk to him, and the funny thing is, when he's in front of the school, he was always so friendly. But whenever he's around us, he's like that. well, around us. And I thought, well, okay, well, I'm not going to change anything. I tried to apologize. What more can I do? At the end of the year, I thought, okay, nothing more can happen. But at the end of the year, there's always we have a special ceremony, and I love this ceremony, and because at the end of the year they've got a prize giving ceremony. Each student goes up, and they list off all the things that student did, and when but for the matrics, because it's your final year, they talk about all your accomplishments, all the things that you've done for the school, your entire career at the school. I was there for 5 years. I did almost everything I could do. I probably did. I even lived in the hostel, the school hostel, for the final year. I did so many things. But so it's a very special award ceremony. It's my final year. I've spent 5 years dedicated to the school. I did everything, every athletic meet, sport, rugby, chess. We won the provincial. Academically, I made top 10 that year. I think, and then I did drama. I was part of the student council. All these things, and it's time for the ceremony. Actually, we had our matric dance, which is like we had our matric dance, and after that, I cut my hair very short, so it didn't look very good. But I was happy. I was like, this is finally my chance. My parents actually drove in from. They were living in another town, and they drove in to come and see me and my brother. And so you sit there and you see each student coming up, and the principal or the vice principal, they would list off all the accomplishments, or they would say all the things the student did. And the parents would sit there and they would cheer, at the end of each grade. And the matrics went on, and I thought, finally it's my year. I'm going to stand there, and I'm going to get all these. People are going to hear all the things that I've done for the school, for Ferdinand Posma, all the things I did for those 5 years, which were a lot. I thought, finally I'm going to get it back. And I remember my friends went up. Finally, it's my chance. I go and I stand in the center of the stage, a big auditorium, and the principal was talking. And that's when he had his revenge. That's where this grown man that was supposed to be a teacher took this finally got his revenge. It was my turn. I was standing there. On me, I was waiting for him to list off all these things. And he says, this is Eric. He was part of the student council. He played first team rugby. Thank you, Eric. I thought, this is a mistake. Where are all the things that I've done this past 5 years, and he just said two things. He didn't even mention all the things I did. He just said those things. My other friends for example, one of my friends who did the same things, he was standing there for a couple of minutes while we did most of the things together. I actually did more because academically I got top 10, and I played chess. My friend was standing there for a long time, and we did all the same things. For me, he said these two things, and I was standing there. I was waiting. I didn't know what to do. Nothing. Everyone's staring at me. I'm waiting for him to read all these things that I did. Nothing. And I didn't know what to do. I was staring, and I just walked off the stage. And I was in shock. I didn't know what happened. So the ceremony ended. We got in the car with my parents, and I remember it was a quiet drive back home. It took about 2 hours to the other town, and I was in there, and it was just quiet. And I remember looking out into the darkness, thinking that I was thinking, why did this teacher, why did this grown man, why didn't he read all the things I wanted? I felt so lonely. I felt so betrayed, and not even betrayed. I just felt so sad. I just felt like I wanted to be sucked into a hole. And even my dad, I love my dad, but back then he said, Eric, you look so stupid standing there on the stage, waiting for just standing on the stage. And I said, Well, Dad, I was all these things that I've done for the past 5 years was supposed to be read by this teacher, and he just didn't. Um, Later on, I got really angry, and I thought, man, I should have just walked over and grabbed the mic and listed all these things that I've done for the school for the past 5 years, and didn't. Um, Never said anything. Because it was the end of the year. Yeah, and so yeah, that grown teacher got his revenge for the 4 words I said, and I even apologized afterwards. You know, and I think the reason I tell this story is it's for myself, just to get the story out there, but it's also for you to understand that sometimes as teachers we have this idea of what we see with our students, that they mean things a certain way, or that they're out to get us, or you know but for many kids, they've got their own lives, and some of the things they say, they're just growing up, they don't mean it. They don't see you as the enemy. They're just trying to live their lives, and I just want you to be patient with your kids, and yeah, just realize they're just growing up. They're going to make mistakes, and the best we can do as teachers is to rise above it and to be adults. I don't know what's going on with that school, but or with that teacher, but and I'm sorry if this is very long and this is a bit boring, but I wanted to get this story out there, and I hope you guys learned something or enjoyed it. Yeah, guys, I'm going to start with my live stream now. If you've got a story of your own that you would like to share, send it to me in my email. Make sure it's long so I can read it and I'll give my feedback. Thank you so much. I'm Eric from eowesch, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.